Hello, everyone. We are back with 2021's International Women's Day celebration. Due to an issue, Merve sadly couldn't make it today. So, surprise! Uh, I'm going to do a talk that I've done before, but I think it's a really important talk, and that's why I actually chose to go ahead and put it forward instead of just hoping that someone else would go forward. So we're just gonna talk. We're just gonna go through it. The talk is about mental health in the workplace. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free. Okay. Just gonna do a quick check because I've been left alone to my own devices. So I'm just gonna do a quick thing just to make sure that I have my notes in front of me also. So yeah, that goes there. And this one goes back live. There we go. Okay, awesome. So as I was saying, don't hesitate. If you have any questions, just send them through. We're on multiple platforms at the same time. Okay. Uh, I hope to God there's no noise. I don't really know if it's the case or not. But anyway, let's go. Let's start. So obviously, this is the second time I've done this talk. So the first time was in GDG MENA's MENA days, which was, I believe, in March of last year. But this time around, I'm doing the same talk, which I usually don't like doing, but I'm doing this for International Women's Day 2021. And just to remind you, this is the schedule. So after me, the next person up will be Emeni Hamdani's Journey, on which I will be the facilitator as well. And then we have a workshop with Ines Chanur, design thinking for digital products. Tomorrow, of course, we also have a big day. So we have at 5 p.m. Courage to Create Opportunities During COVID with Dana and Rawand. And at 6, Reframing Your Narrative Workshop with Heather. At 7, Motivational Talk with Mariam Bilqabi. And at 9, Why Light Matters in Our World Today by Donna. So, of course, International Women's Day and the Courage to Create. So this is my agenda. This is my summary for today. So of course, I'm going to start with a disclaimer. Then we'll have an introduction. What is mental health? Mental health in MENA's history. Mental health a taboo. Mental health at work. Warning signs. Create a workspace that supports mental health, and a Q&A at the end. So like I said, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat, and I'll be totally cool with answering anything you guys might need to know. So for the disclaimer, please, I am not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. My views do not replace the ones of a licensed medical professional. Also, accurate data is very scarce for this topic in the MENA region. So I apologize in advance if some numbers are old or irrelevant now. So, first of all, who the heck am I? So, my name is Zohra Slim. Most people call me Zo. My pronouns are she and her. I'm co-founder and CDNVO of InstaDeep. I'm CEO of InstaDeep Tunisia. I'm GDG Carthage co-lead. I'm a Woman Tech Maker ambassador. I'm a self-taught full-stack developer, Jill of all trades, master of many, and I only have a French baccalaureate in the literary stream. I actually don't have a university degree. So, what is mental health? There's a saying from ancient Rome that says mens sana in corpore sano, which means a healthy mind in a healthy body. So mental health is the level of psychological well-being or absence of mental illness. According to the WHO, mental health includes subjective well-being, perceived self-efficacy, autonomy, competence, intergenerational dependence, and self-actualization of one's intellectual and emotional potential, among others. So, Mental health disorders are usually categorized into seven types. There's mood disorders, things like depression, bipolar disorder, seasonal affective disorder, which is also called SAD, which is appropriate. There's anxiety disorders, that's generally some sort of anxiety, generalized anxiety, sometimes with psychosomatic effects, agoraphobia, social anxiety, and the like. Then there's personality disorders. Usually they manifest as antisocial, borderline, narcissistic, OCD. Then we have psychotic disorders, which are usually schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder. We also have eating disorders, such as bulimia, anorexia nervosa, trauma-related disorders, which usually are PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and substance abuse, things like alcoholism and addiction, but also internet addiction. So, mental health in MENA's history. So, in pharaonic times, scribes were not just simply storytellers. They were, in fact, philosophers, physicians, scholars, and scientists. We know of 9 principal medical papyri from as far back as 1950 BC. And from those, two speak of psyche and soma. So psyche means mind and soma means body. That's why we say that psychosomatic is an illness caused or worsened by a mental factor like anxiety. So here we have these two papyri, the Kahun papyrus on the left and the Eber papyrus on the right. Those two names are the names of the people who found them. We actually don't know who wrote them. So in the golden age of Islam, pioneering Persian and Arabic doctors and scholars were heavily involved in analyzing and writing about health. And the new mental health concepts and ideas were quick to emerge. The first mental hospital was built in the 9th century in Baghdad. So here we have these 7 big figures in this theme. So, for instance, we have um, Abu Zayd al-Balkhi, who was a 9th century Persian polymath, geographer, physician, and psychologist. He wrote a book on the mental health, which is called Masalih al-Abdan wa al-Anfus. In English, it's translated as Sustenance for Bodies and Souls. We have al-Razi, 9th or 10th century Persian polymath, physician, philosopher. His book on medicine, Kitab al-Hawi fi Tib, the comprehensive book on medicine. We have, of course, Al-Farabi, which is a 9th and 10th century Arab philosopher, scientist, mathematician, and psychologist. His main book is Kitab Ara Ahl al-Madinat al-Fadila. So in English, it's translated to Social Psychology and Principles of the Opinions of the Citizens of the Virtuous City. I know it's a very long title. Then we have Ibn Sina, who's a 10th century Persian philosopher, physics scholar, psychologist, geographer, etc. His books were Kitab al-Nafs, book on the soul sections, in both Kitab al-Shifa, which means book of healing, and Kitab al-Najat, which means book of deliverance. Then we have al-Majuzi, who was a 10th century Persian physician and psychologist. He wrote a book called Kitab al-Maliki, which is translated as Complete Book for the Medical Arts. After that, we have Zahrawi, who is a 10th century Muslim Andalusian of Arabic descent from modern Cordoba in Spain. He was a doctor, a surgeon, and a chemist. He's considered as the father of surgery. His main book, because he does have plenty, is Kitab al-Tasrif, the method of medicine, in which he describes many neurological surgeries, such as a surgical cure for epilepsy, for instance. He also built a lot of medical tools. So if you look him up, you'll find that it's super fascinating. Then we have Ibn Rushd, who's a 12th century Muslim Andalusian, same as Al-Ansari, Arabic descent from modern Cordoba in Spain. Also philosopher, doctor, geographer, physics, chemistry scholar, psychologist, among others. His main book on in the medical field is called Talkhis Kitab al-Nafs, Book of the Soul. So these are just 7 out of scores of Arab philosophers and physicians, all talking about mental health. So in the post-Mongol invasion, very different practices in mental health from then on. Basically, in the golden age of Islam, people with mental health issues were supported and cared for by doctors. Music therapy, prayer, and exercise were common practice. There was no torture, no ostracization. European standards were more about punishing bad behavior. And that's what basically happened. People started moving towards the European standards. So, mental health, a taboo. So, mental health in the MENA region now. So, these come from a YouGov poll that shows 18 to 24-year-olds in the UAE. So, the Arab Youth Survey, that's the YouGov poll, and a recent YouGov poll have shown alarming numbers. Various studies show that the region has the highest rates of mental disorders globally and no resources to help. So about 50% of people who were asked say that there is a stigma associated about seeking mental health care. 54% say that mental health care is difficult to access, and this number is just nuts. But it's 82% say that the high prices from mental health care drive them off from getting help. And 15.25 diagnosed with mental health and substance disorders in MENA. There's 15.25% of the population, while there's only 12.94 globally. So why are these numbers so high? So the whole region has gone through a lot. Conflicts, wars, droughts, famines, civil unrest, economic upheaval. We've had it all. So PTSD, depression, and anxiety-related disorders in war-torn countries is set to augment by up to 30%. The late diagnosis impacts these numbers. So basically, the farther it is from when you had that moment where you actually had a mental illness, and the moment in which you get the diagnosis, the longer that period is, the worse it gets. So the neglect of the sector because of the stigma attached to mental health issues also plays a significant role. No country in the MENA region has more than 0.5 psychiatrists per 10,000 people, and no more than 20 beds in a psych ward per 100,000 people. And up to 75, this is an estimated, but it's still a very high number, up to an estimated 75% do not receive the help they need. And why is this such a taboo? So from the research I read, it appears that some people in the MENA region only get help once they reach a very dangerous state, or when they get to be very ill, maybe a catatonic state, which is very dangerous. So speaking about mental health in general is a taboo in most countries. There is, however, a correlation between cultural behaviors, as in the MENA region. It is group psychology that reigns over individualism. So group psychology is you think about the group. Individualism is you think about yourself and you are your own person. So for instance, if you say that usually in the MENA region, it is kind of a taboo to be more of an individual instead of just being a part of a specific group. So people feel ashamed to tell others that they need this mental health help, and some people feel that it might bring dishonor to their families. And in Egypt, and this is one of the numbers that just made me really dig. I looked a lot to find this number, but it's a very high number. And in Egypt, in a 2013 study, so this was a while ago, this was almost 80 years ago, 82% of people said that they would not take someone from their family or friends to the psychologist because of the stigma. 82%. It's insane. So, why is it such a taboo? It shouldn't be. Basically, a number of mental health issues is actually linked to brain chemistry. So, depression can be caused by chemical imbalances in the brain. For instance, it can be an imbalance in neurotransmitters. Low serotonin, low dopamine, glutamate plays a role in schizophrenia, for instance. High rates also supposedly impact bipolar disorder. Lithium might stabilize reuptake. There's a lot of possibilities. And if you have diabetes, you also have a chemical imbalance in your body, right? So when you have diabetes, you take insulin. Why is this any different from mental health? Apologies for the dog. Let me just put this back. So, mental health at work. So, globally. So, this is not just targeted to the MENA region, this is for everyone. So, it basically stems from lack of engagement, too much stress, toxic work environments, fear of job loss, and fear of rejection are some of the causes of these super high numbers. So, 45% of people have considered leaving their job because of stress. 79% of people have experienced high stress at work in the last 12 months. 22% of people feel stress more often than they do not. And 49% of people think that they should not talk about it to their managers for fear of job loss and rejection. So, mental health in work globally, again, how does this stress manifest itself? So, 44% of workers were more irritated, 25 drank more, 28% took it out on their families, 15% smoked more, 66% reported that the workplace issues affected their sleep, 55% are afraid to take a day off to tend to their mental health. 69% don't talk about mental health at anyone at work for fear of being ostracized. And 57% of workers said they have been paralyzed by stress before. And these are USA and Europe stats. And the 57% everyday health in the US, this is a 2019 poll. So, with around 75% of people in the MENA region not being treated or even diagnosed for their mental disorders, we are on the verge of a crisis. And we need to really destigmatize mental health issues now. So, some warning signs. When should you see someone? I'm a big, personally, I'm a big facilitator, I guess, of getting help. I always tell people that, getting therapy is really cool and it helps you with a lot of issues, whether they're in the workplace or emotionally or from your past or whatever. So, when should you actually really see someone? When is it not just something that you do to get to a better stage? When is it really when you have to see someone? So there are some warning signs linked with depression and anxiety that can also be linked to other mental disorders. And I urge you to go see someone if you have two or more of these symptoms for 2 or more weeks. long lasting sadness, which are usually called crying spells, irritability, unexplained anger, extremely high or low moods, so very happy or very sad, excessive fear, worry, or anxiety, social withdrawal, so basically you pull away from any sort of social situation or your friends or your family, loss of interest. This is when nothing, you don't like doing anything anymore. Things that you used to love doing, they just become meh. Um, Feelings of worthlessness, guilt, hopelessness, and the dramatic changes in eating or sleeping habits. If you usually sleep 8 hours and suddenly you start sleeping 3 hours, that's a big warning sign. And what can you do to feel better? So, besides going to the healthcare professional, which you should do, as I said, if you have multiple of those symptoms for more than 2 weeks, there are some things you can actually do to get better. For instance, you can stop drinking coffee and basically cut your caffeine intake because coffee makes anxiety worse. Stop alcohol intake. Alcohol is actually depressant. So if you're already depressed and you take a depressant, it's just going to make things worse. Exercise, play sports, even a long walk can really sometimes do wonders. Walking increases oxygenation in your brain, and that just makes you feel better. You can also disconnect from the online world when you get home. So basically, Android and iOS both have this feature where it just disconnects you completely and go out. I know that sometimes when you're depressed, you really don't feel like seeing anyone or going anywhere, but go out. Just sometimes changing the scenery can really change the way you look at life as it is right then. And another thing that I've really checked out is meditation and breathing exercises. Things like box breathing, for instance. Meditation really helps you keep a cool mind. It's a really great tool. A lot of people are doing it. Really, I tried it and it just makes you feel relaxed, which is good. So, how to create a workplace that supports mental health? So, first of all, give your employees autonomy. Do not nag. Do not micromanage. That does not work. Monitor the engagement of people. So, make sure that, yes, it's work at the end of the day. Some days you have to do things that aren't super exciting, but it, you have to make sure that they understand that it's just for a specific period of time, but always check that they're engaged, that they're talking to each other, that there isn't someone who pulled away. Because the second that someone starts pulling away, there's something wrong, especially if they were very social beforehand. Do not check out. As a leader, you cannot just delve so hard into your own issues that you forget about everyone else. So, as a leader, you cannot check out. Have an open door policy. This is something that I do myself. I have an open door policy, a bit more complex right now, since we actually are still working from home. But having an open door policy is really helpful. People can come talk to you about whatever issues they have, and just leaning on you can really help, and you can really help them out and try to understand what's going wrong. Support your team. Have a health insurance plan in place that covers mental health. In some countries, it's already automatically in, but in some others, it's not, and it's something that should be looked into. And you should increase awareness. There's something that I always do at the office is that I'm doing this talk, for instance. Um, I will talk to people about what they're going through. And, even when we have meetings, especially now in COVID times, at the end of every meeting, I will always say, guys, I know it's been a year. We've been working from home. If anyone wants to talk, just ping me. I'll take time from work and I will talk to you about whatever issues you have. So do not hesitate. And that makes all the Like that makes some people stay. I actually get messages of from people saying that, that they were so happy that they could talk to me about that. And I was like, of course. You also have to train the managers to see the signs. The thing is that not everyone has this thing automatically in them where they kind of feel people out. Some people just don't know. So by training the managers, you ensure that everyone has the same sort of, let's say, angel, a guardian angel looking over them. Because at the end of the day, sadly, I can't see everything. And obviously, the biggest thing, this is the biggest thing, is to treat people fairly. If people are treated fairly, you will have less people where the stress goes very high. So, treating people fairly is like the basis of having people work with you. So, what should you do if you see that someone is struggling? So, usually, this is what I do. Each person can do their own thing, but yeah, I am a manager of many people, so this is what I do. So, step one, I suss out the situation. Step two is I talk to them. So, I will call someone to my office. They will, sit there and I'll be like, what's going on? I saw that you're pulling away from everyone. Do you want to talk about it? After that, of course, I listen and I do not judge. No matter what someone tells me, it is not grounds for me to judge them. They're coming to you with an open mind, looking for someone who will help them out. They do not need judgment right then. So I never judge. Unless someone tells me that they've done something horribly wrong, um, I just don't judge. I also try to reshuffle work and allow them to recuperate. So, if someone is feeling really down and I feel that they're starting to have issues, I will try to really rearrange work, especially to be able to possibly give them time off or a day off in the middle of the week or whatever it is, just so that they can recuperate. I offer them a shoulder to lean on. So if I can help them in any way, I always tell my team, if I can help you, let me know. I will do my best. And I mean that. It's not just an empty promise. Um, at, in some specific cases, I might recommend someone for them to see, where I'll be like, listen, I think your issues are beyond my scope because, as I said before, I am not a doctor. Um, I think maybe it would be good for you to go see a therapist, for instance. If you would like, I can give you the number of someone. And usually I finish the whole talk by trying to give them some time off because one of the best things you can do in a situation like that is not add on stress, it's not add on work, it's just giving them time off. I know that it's very hard to do so sometimes when someone is in a specific project, but I try. And that's the best thing you can do is trying. So that's my talk. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send them my way. Thank you, Farah. I'm glad this talk helped you. Um, yeah, okay, let's check that out. Anxiety and COVID-19. It's a hard situation. How can we solve it? I wish I knew, to be honest. Um, we can, some things you can't change. As in, you have to. There's this proverb, I think, or a Bible quote. I'm not sure, but it says something along the lines of have the wisdom to know what cannot be changed, the strength to change. I'm sorry. It's have the strength to know what cannot be changed, uh, the courage to change what you can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. We can't solve COVID-19, not us personally. We have to get vaccines, people have to get vaccinated, people have to wear their masks. Please, I beg you, wear your masks. Like, I have one here. It's really simple. You just, it's fine. Um, Social distancing, but on the anxiety side, that's where it gets kind of tricky. Some of us have been stuck here for, I think I hit a year and 7 days. It's been a while. It's starting to really get to a lot of people, myself included, because my mom is immunocompromised, so I have never actually gotten out of the whole quarantine thing. I've been home. Um, the only thing you can do is kind of try to find things that you can do around you that you like and that kind of relieve stress. For instance, recently I've started spinning again. So I got a spin bike and it's just set up. And whenever at 3 a.m. I feel like, oh God, I'm stuck here, I will just go do some spinning. If I feel like, if I get angry, because people get angry because we have been stuck here for a while, um, video game. So you have to find the best thing you can do. It's not always easy, but we try. So that's the answer to that question. Is there any other questions? Oh, I feel like there's going to be a lot of them. Um, is the position of a psychotherapist important at work? Do you mean like in the actual workspace? Because I don't know, but I think that therapy in general is good. It can't be anything bad. You're trying to make yourself better. You're trying to fix your issues. Coaching and therapy are both things that they're tools. For some reason, some people don't want to use them, which I don't really understand. So I really feel that it's important for people to know that a therapist is not. A lot of people think that when you say therapy, you just mean like someone who's going to take you to the, like an asylum. That's not the case. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, what she meant, or they meant, is I think it's good to leave your problems from work at work. Yes, sometimes they will come with you. You can't help it. But I think that it's really good to be able to kind of disconnect. End of day, you just disconnect your phone. You're on you time. You're not on work time. It's very hard to do. I'm still struggling with it, especially in COVID time where work time and lifetime kind of gets really blurry because you're in front of your computer all day anyway. So I think talking about it really helps. Talking about your issues really helps. I hope that clarified things a bit. Do we have any other questions? Anyone? Okay, cool. I think there's no more questions, which I'm glad. That means that a lot of you have watched this thing before. If you do have any questions, you can send them to GGG Cartage, which I'm a member of. And you can find me on Twitter by going to, let me just add this for myself. So you can find me on Twitter at this handle. Please do stay with us for our IWD 2021 lineup. Next, we're going to talk with Emeni Hamdani, who's the CEO of Pedalo. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining this talk. And until the next, see you.